Revolution. A persuasive change in society and the social structure, made subtly, a marked change in something. Released in Japan in 1994, followed by North America and Europe in 1995, Sony, famous for audio and visual equipment, came to the gaming market and completely changed the gaming landscape forever. Marketed as a mature gaming system, along with its use of CD technology, it blew the establishment out of the water, killing Sega and almost doing the same to the giant that is Nintendo. This was a change in the zeitgeist. It's hard to imagine it now, but the word PlayStation just wasn't part of the general public's vocabulary. Even to this day, the system is beautiful. The perfect shade of grey, the small amount of green and blue colour accents on the buttons. The placement of the controller and memory card ports help with the clean aesthetic when they're in use. This is a later model, so it's been streamlined, with a simple AV out and figure of 8 power supply. I purchased this one from CEX here in the UK. Sadly, the original myself and my brother played back in the 90s is long gone. This came out in an era when everything was so tactile. The buttons, the satisfying click when you closed the lid. Combine this with the looks of the console, and this is why I still have it set up under my TV. Yes, you can emulate. Yes, you can also use a PS2. But for me, the beauty of this hobby is reliving the experiences I had from my youth. It's using the original disc and hardware. It's picking a game off the shelf and putting it in the console. It's the sound of the disc being spun up. There are a few things we need, obviously, before we can start playing. The original controller is basic by today's standards, although it was comfortable for the time, with its elongated grips. It also doubled the shoulder buttons you would find on things like the Super Nintendo controller. The D-pad is an interesting design. Back in the 90s, Nintendo still held the patent, so Sony had to be creative, put the centre of their D-pad behind the plastic of the controller. This was also the era of memory cards, so make sure you've got a couple of these. I like these green and blue transparent ones. They nicely match the colour accents on the power and eject buttons. In the UK, the obvious choice for connecting to your TV was with an RGB SCART cable, as the PS1 supports this natively and it offers the best analogue signal. I got this one from Retro Upgrades, but there's also a company called Retro Gaming Cables here in the UK that also do high quality options. I like to use a wireless controller, so I use this blue retro receiver and PS3 controller. I covered this in more detail in a previous video. The great thing about the PS3 controller is it's almost identical in feel and use to the original. And finally, I guess we're going to need some games. Luckily, the PS1 we are spoilt for choice. The original Gran Turismo. This was, and still is, an amazing game. The level of detail for the time was outstanding. The car choice, the tracks to race on, the perfect balance between arcade and simulation made this a must-own. I've forgotten how many hours I've sunk into this game over the years. The games came in these thick plastic cases, mainly due to the need to have such chunky manuals here in Europe. Many games had fantastic high-quality printed graphics on the CDs. and I still remember being so fascinated as to why they were black on the underside. This made it feel like we were living in the future. And what's better than one Gran Turismo game? Well, two. The second game was even bigger and better than the first, introducing off-road circuits and even more cars and tracks to play. There are many great racing games on the PS1. This is a great port of the arcade classic Ridge Racer. I have so much nostalgia for it. And the Need for Speed franchise also appeared on the PS1. At the time, these games were very much associated with just PC gaming. I always remember this one fondly, as one of the locations you can race in is in the UK. That was a novelty for us at the time. Another game me and my brother sunk a load of hours into was this. We were obsessed with micro machines, as was everyone from my generation at the time, and the 3D lent itself perfectly to this game, racing over tabletops. And I still play Destruction Derby 2 regularly. The chaotic gameplay and real-time damage makes it still very much fun to play. And for some reason, the game came in this dual case, despite the fact it only had one disc. I'm not sure why. I love the colourful artwork on this one, and again, printed on the CD. There are some good platformers on the PS1 as well. Rayman is one of my favourites. But oh my gosh, it's so hard. How many parents got this game for their children think it was an easy kids game based on the colourful graphics? Some games later in their release cycle were sold as platinum versions. A lot of collectors don't want these, so you can sometimes find them for cheaper. Especially if you're like me and you aren't fussed about how they look on your shelf. And is this the greatest fighting game of all time? Probably. I've lost count how many times I fell out with my friends over this game, and I always played as Law. Movie tie-in games were also represented on the PS1. This version of Phantom Menace even came with a music video for Duel of the Fates. This is another great advantage of the PS1. It was effectively a CD player, and a really good one at that, as to be expected being a Sony product. I really need to clean off this old HMV sticker. Does anyone else have great memories of going to HMV? Looking through the posters, games and CDs? This is another really tough platformer. Again, I've got massive nostalgia for it. I still play this game annually as well. The game controls are pretty dated, but the atmosphere the game created is still exceptional, even by today's standards. RPGs excelled on PS1. The most famous obviously is Final Fantasy VII. A whole generation was introduced to the franchise. I remember at the time wondering how I missed the other 6 games in the franchise. The UK wasn't exposed to these games, and I had no idea they were originally on the Nintendo. Another example of the PS1's early dominance on the gaming scene. Ace Combat is also another great franchise. Extreme sports were huge in the 90s, and this is yet another case variant. One downside of these large cases is the plastic is very brittle, and they do have a tendency to break. As you can see, this one is well past its best. Another game I sunk many hours into was the Knockout Kings series. And no PAL console would be complete without a FIFA game. So, let's play some games. Is that the greatest system startup sound ever? It's definitely one of them. I enjoy playing my old consoles on an old CRT TV. They can be found for free a lot of the time. If you get a modest size one, it doesn't take up too much room and it's relatively mobile. It's hard to imagine just one generation of consoles back you had games like the original Mario Kart. The jump up in graphics and the amount of content was really impressive. I feel blessed to have witnessed this jump firsthand. I still love platformers, and no game on the system looks better than this. It's just stunning.
Round one. Fight. You win.
If you're a similar age to me, you will be getting older, looking in the mirror, taken aback by the old yet familiar face looking back at you. But don't be saddened by this inevitable descent into old age. We are truly the blessed generation. We lived through the 8-bit wars. We saw the birth and death of franchises and gaming giants. So don't be sad for the times lost. Be grateful you had them at all. And you don't have to give up on those times. As impractical as it is, get yourself a PS1. Pick up an old TV and set it up pride of place in your home, and enjoy the experience in its entirety. And when you do, for a brief moment, you will be young again. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I hope to see you back here soon.